Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Technology is Changing the Game, Are You Being Left Behind? Thank you for participating in CITE's Global Education Week. Before we begin, I would like to remind the audience to please feel free to submit questions throughout the event via the question chat box on your webinar toolbar. Our speakers will be taking questions at the end of today's presentation. And now I would like to turn the call over to today's speakers. Please go ahead, Julie.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining us for our presentation today. I'm excited to be able to introduce our video, and yes, we're actually going to be using technology to broadcast our session. So we taped our moderator and our panelists, and then we're going to finish up with some live Q&A with our live panelists. But first, just a minute about EvEd. We're really excited to be part of Global Education Week with CITE. And if you're not aware of what our company is, EvEd automates global event commerce. We offer an online marketplace and enterprise solution for the meeting and event industry. We span the entire supply chain and enable large and small companies to streamline their event processes from sourcing to payment and allow suppliers to showcase their goods and services to their target market. By automating commerce and event commerce, we make it easy for event planners to do their jobs while focusing on driving true spend visibility and cost savings for procurement and finance across organizations. Following today's panel discussion, as I mentioned, we'll have a live Q&A. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions of two of our panelists, Lindsay Giant, who is a technical event consultant at WellPoint, and Megan Muniz, who's the general manager at More Events, as well as myself. To submit a question, you're simply going to enter them in the questions section on your GoToWebinar toolbar throughout the session. We'll also be live tweeting, so get it in the conversation, mention @EvEd Marketplace, and use the hashtag EventTech. Now to introduce our moderator. Talia Mashiach is the CEO and founder of EvEd, our company. And prior to launching EvEd in 2010, Talia's entrepreneurial instincts led her to build several successful technology companies and a local event planning company /DMC here in Chicago. She's won numerous awards, received recognition for both her work in the technology and event space, and now we're just focusing solely on building our technology platform for the meetings and event industry. So without further ado, I'd like to begin.
EvEd's education session, Technology is Changing the Game. Are you being left behind? I want to start out by thanking our strategic partner CITE for inviting us to participate in their Global Education Week for the third year in a row. We are both strong believers in educating meeting and event professionals so the industry can continue to grow and prosper, delivering clients exceptional experiences and unforgettable events. Over the last couple of years, there has been a lot of talk about the need for technology in the meeting and event industry. Yes, there's registration software that has become a standard. And there are apps for meetings instead of expecting people to walk around with papers to know where the next session is. But these are all related to the attendee experience. I want to focus today a little bit around business technology. Software that automates your business process, provides a better experience for your clients, improves your profits, and stimulates your growth. Unfortunately, few companies are even thinking about making investments in technology when it should be your #1 item on your list of priorities. Walk into almost any corporate or third-party client today for a client review meeting and watch their reaction when you tell them that the #1 initiative for you and your company is to invest in technology in order to make your company more efficient. So when your client hires you, their money is going farther and they will get far more in return for their dollars than your competitor because your team is not spending hours reconciling invoices and finding emails, nor are you making your client read through your Excel sheets, double-check it, enter data into their own technology, and then look through thousands of emails. As you'll hear from one of our panelists today, being a great executor today is a given. You don't even make the cut to even get the RFP if you can't execute. But clients want companies to use their dollars to create the best experiences possible. When they see your Excel sheets and hundreds of emails, they know where their dollars are going. When you send them an interactive proposal, when you collaborate with them online, when they see you on site with tablets instead of your big binders filled with papers, they know that they're working with the right suppliers. I can tell you this, if it's not going to be you who's going to automate technology, it's going to be your competition, and they're going to be the ones in front of your client telling them all these things they're doing to increase their value. So why? Why is technology so important to corporations? Why is it important to your clients? First, I don't think a lot of people really even understand why companies truly have events. And I want to spend a little bit of time talking about everything I've learned in the last few years about how companies are using events. So first, events are a marketing channel for many companies. They're used to generate revenue. This means a trade show, a VIP client event, a sales launch. But events compete for dollars within a company. They would compete against advertising, commercials, digital, social media campaigns. So the people in the companies who are doing the events need to show their value, need to show it's better than doing one of those other marketing outlets. Companies also have meetings to gather their employees together. Global organizations have people all over the world. These meetings compete with online presentations. They can do online training. They can put people in smaller groups and keep them in their local destinations. So why is it that they should do a meeting? Why should they do an event where they're spending all that money to bring people together? They're also doing events for incentives. They gather employees together who perform well in the company and reward them in this way. There are a number of different options today that you can do to incent people to be able to perform other than bringing them all to a destination. How can they prove that by bringing them to that destination, that was the best way to be able to incent their employees? These are just a few examples, but as you can see, it requires a budget from a company and a return on the investment. It has to produce a result that is better than some of the other alternatives. These clients hire you as their suppliers to help them execute these events, but they also hire you to help them ensure that the event provides the best return for the money spent. If they can't do that, the next time those dollars will go towards another channel, something else instead of towards meetings and events. So your clients need to measure their success. They need to prove their events are valuable, and they need to show that it helps to attain the business objective. So how do they do that? The first is visibility. Your emails you send, your Excel files you spend hours on, those only live on individual computers or in mailboxes. There is nothing you can do with that data. Companies need visibility into the aggregate data. They need information about everything they're doing so that it can make more strategic decisions and make those events more valuable for them. If they don't know how much they spent, if they don't know who it's spent with, and they don't know for whom, then how can they effectively make events a channel that helps them as a company? If they don't have the data, they can't show how the event created value and why it was a better option than doing something else. This is the cloud computing era. Your client does not want to take all the documents you send them and have to retype that same information into 4 different places or have 5 different documents that you send them as an attachment in their email. I know that most of the industry is still typing data multiple times into multiple different documents, but there is a solution to that. It doesn't have to be that way anymore. In other spend categories, that's gone. Software has replaced that, and corporations have access to that in their other spend categories, and they expect from their suppliers that they can provide them with that value. It wastes time, and it's filled with errors when you have to retype the same information in multiple places. You know what your clients want? They want everything updated in real time. They want it available to your entire team, to their entire team, to all the suppliers that you're working with, so everybody has the right information at the right place at the right time and is convenient for everyone. The third, and probably incredibly important for all of that meeting and incentive and DMCs as well, is automation and efficiencies. I mentioned before that your clients are paying you for your time. And time that is spent on back office tasks does not create value and does not have an impact on the experience. Where there is technology that can do things better, faster, and cheaper, you know what that does? That leaves your people to do things that have impact. Their talent, that they're able to create the experience. Technology doesn't create experiences, people create experiences, but technology can reconcile invoices. Technology can take the data that's typed one and have it print on 5 different documents instead of having to have people type that in 5 different documents. Your clients want to know that 80% of their budget is on the experience and only 20% is on the back office paperwork. If you're on Excel and email, that means you're spending 80% of your time on back office, which only leaves you 20% on the experience. If you do this, If you move that shift and you move that 80-20, you're going to be able to spend more time on inventing new and innovative products and services and differentiating your company and creating an incredible experience. I have talked to hundreds of planners, procurement leaders, event directors, marketing directors over the last couple of years, and this is what I'm hearing. Across all corporations, big data is a big thing. How do you use data? How do you understand it? How do you aggregate your data? How does it help you be more strategic? This is critical. When you are on Excel, when you are on email, you are not giving your client the information and the data that they need to be able to be strategic for themselves, nor are you showing them that you as a company are strategic and know how to use data to make better business decisions. Suppliers that evolve and invest are going to be in higher demand. Clients want suppliers that are investing in their business, that are looking to be able to serve their clients better. Technology is really changing the game. Don't get left behind. All right, I want to introduce the great panelists that we have today that have joined us. We've invited leaders from large corporations and mid-sized third-party incentive houses to represent players from all elements of the supply chain. Joining us today to discuss the importance of technology in the meeting and event industry, we have Megan Muniz with More Events and Lindsay Giant with WellPoint. Megan Muniz, the general manager at More Events, a Denver-based full-scale event management firm. With 10 years of event management and meeting planning experience, she manages 3 Fortune 500 accounts specializing in internal meetings, customer-facing sales and opportunities, and sporting and hospitality events. Currently a graduate student at the University of Denver, Megan is continuing to follow her passion of strategic consulting, branding and marketing, business development, and evaluation. And finally, we have Lindsay Giant, a technical event consultant at WellPoint Inc. She is responsible for developing and implementing meeting technology. Her role also includes building strategic relationships with internal associates to educate them on meeting technology resources, create and design registration websites and surveys, and conduct analytics on overall meeting data. Her current focus is improving existing process through the use of existing and new technologies. Thank you very much.
I think there are 2 very big challenges right now in our industry. From a procurement standpoint, it's being able to easily have visibility into our meeting spend and savings, and also have more controls in place from an audit perspective that's automated. From a planner perspective, challenge right now is there's a lot of data entry going on as far as like budgets and payments go. So for them to be able to track everything, there's not a lot out there right now that allows them to make a kind of one point of entry type of thing. Instead, they're maintaining multiple budgets in Excel and other things like that. If they are entering it into a meeting technology tool, typically it's very manual data entry.
There's a couple big challenges in the industry right now. One of them would be the timing of the work and the projects that come in. Probably 6, 7, 8 years ago, we were working in a timeline of about a year or 2 out for programs and events. And now we're really looking at 3 to 6 months out. So things are happening a lot more quickly. That's definitely one challenge. And then another is the approval process and decision making. It seems to take a little longer. There's more people involved these days. There's a lot more checks and balances. And then probably the third one, I would say, coming from a third-party planning company is human resources, especially because we don't really know what tomorrow may bring. We really have to be very cognizant of what kind of staffing plans we have in place. We need to be ready for it tomorrow, but prepared and not overstaffed today. Technology allows us to automate. I mean, it increases efficiency. If there's less time to make the same program happen, so if we had, 16 months to plan for Rugby World Cup before, now we have 6 months to plan for it. Obviously, we know it's happening, but corporate sponsorships are taking a little longer to book. So technology is helping us become more efficient and do more in less time. It's also allowing the approval process to be automated. So people are literally getting, the next approver gets an email and just needs to click a box that they approve a budget or they approve a process. And then probably human resources that allows us to be more flexible. People can work remotely. We can bring people on as we need to. So technology is, throughout it all.
We really need more automation. We have some great tools out there right now for meeting technology as far as sourcing hotel properties, doing registration, invitations, and those type of things, but that's kind of where it ends, I feel like. We need more automation with the rest of what our planners are doing and what procurement is looking at. It's very important for us to maintain our budgets and savings, not only for our clients, but just our companies overall. And right now that's challenging, and it's extremely time consuming. It's time consuming for a planner to enter all that information and track it, and it's time consuming for our procurement department to be able to run those reports and filter the data and sort it all out. It's in different places. It's just it's very difficult right now. So we really need something out there to provide more automation so that our planners aren't wasting their valuable time entering stuff in multiple different places and trying to maintain a budget that has hundreds of rows on it, iterations to show and demonstrate their savings. And we also need more items in place to be able to control those budgets. So when someone is getting close to a budget, we want to be able to have something in place to notify that planner so that they can tell the client that we're getting close to our budget, instead of having to manually go in and constantly update a spreadsheet or database with what they're spending.
So technology is a smaller company's best friend, and it needs to be, because it levels the playing field and it allows us to compete with the big dogs. While we're not really small, we are on the smaller side. We're not, and I think, when you see a website or you see how efficient a smaller company can be because of technology, it allows us a chance to throw our hat in the ring. It allows us to be more flexible, to adapt to changing needs. Structure our staff as well to the needs of our clients. Technology really just allows that to happen. We also believe in quality of life for our staff, and the industry is a very demanding one. It requires long and kind of bizarre hours and weekends and holidays and travel, and it's not as glamorous as everyone thinks. And technology allows us really to stay on track with our projects, with our processes, with our timelines, and then also just allows us to enjoy a little bit more of that connection with our families. And I think it actually keeps people in the industry longer now than they used to be. I don't believe it's as much of a revolving door as it used to be, because we are a little more flexible and adaptable, and technology really allows us to enjoy the industry that we work in.
There is significant value in a technology solution. It keeps us innovative and cutting edge. There's so many other things that it provides as well, just simplifying processes, making them efficient, making the data that we're getting more valuable and easily accessible. So there's many reasons why it's important for you to either bring on board or explore different technologies that are out there to help you improve your processes and your overall business.
They have done a couple case studies for technology in our industry in regards specifically to going to tablets, kind of becoming more green, but also becoming more technologically savvy when it comes to meeting planning. There's kind of a joke in the industry, or not a joke, I mean it's the truth, that planners carry around 4-inch binders. We bring them with us, we carry them with us, we stack them or stuff them into our carry-on baggage and take them abroad with us. And we see that or I think one of the changes is that we are going to be moving more to tablets, and more kind of online resources, sharing information that way versus paper, which is good, but it's difficult. We've all tried it, and if everyone isn't on the same playing field, like it makes it a little difficult. So people are kind of in different stages of accepting that. And then I would say too that a change we're seeing is that more of our clients are asking for budget transparency. They want a line item events. It's not just how much did this golf tournament cost. They want to know how much they spent on food and beverage and how much they spent on audiovisual and hotel rooms and staffing. So a lot more transparency there.
I think because of the need for more automation in our industry, that we will start seeing more people getting out there and getting educated and researching to see what's new out there, what's cutting edge, what are they doing that's new out there for meetings and events. And I've already started to see that shift, and I think we'll start to see that as that becomes more prevalent, that hotels and suppliers and vendors and all those people are going to be really forced into engaging and integrating with the new technologies that are coming out for companies to be able to utilize to automate more things.
We took a call from a major corporate client of ours about asking us to become more efficient in a lot of our administrative tasks. And when we went out to really look and research a lot of these tools, we found that one tool specialized in one piece of the ask, and one tool specialized in another piece of the ask, and another specialized in yet another. And we weren't finding anything that was really well-rounded for that. So it's interesting when, we have to go out and your client now is coming to you and asking you to change your processes. It was never a question of, is this important? It was always important. But unfortunately, I think sometimes, there's the adage, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And that was kind of, I think, a situation that we found ourselves in. The system was working fine as it was, and things were getting done, and everyone seemed to be meeting their goals and their deliverables, and the client was happy. But then things change, and someone else comes on board, and there's a new CFO or financial director that wants to see things a little differently. So when the ask came to us, we were open to it. It's just making sure that you're ready and you're open to the ask and willing to, I think, invest that time and finances into finding the right tool.
There are huge consequences to not getting yourself out there and networking and researching and just educating yourself about what's cutting edge out there. And, I think a lot of companies push for innovation, and they should. That's how we stay on top of things. That's how we find out what's going on out in the world and what we can do to make our processes better and provide a higher level of customer service to our clients. So it would, be detrimental to not at least explore what's out there. Even if your company doesn't fund a lot for your meetings and events department, it's worth looking into, because you never know. I mean, there's things out there that I've stumbled upon that I thought were just amazing products, and I thought there's no way that we would be able to bring this on, to find out that it really didn't cost our company anything. It's just you never know. So it's always worth investigating to see what's out there and presenting that to your department leads, your company, just to let them know that you are getting out there, you're getting engaged with other people and other technologies that are out there, because something could come along that could really be a great fit for your company, and you won't ever know that if you don't go out and explore the options.
I think the smaller companies, especially the meeting planning or the third parties, to keep up, we embrace technology more openly. But I see a big stopping point, or kind of a filter for us, is actually big suppliers like hotel chains. It tends to take them a little longer to get on board, and then they also have their own processes and their own technology that they kind of ask their clients to adapt to. Whereas in my role, I tell my clients, I adapt to you, we adapt to your style. If you have a process or a technology you want us to incorporate into the planning, no problem. For the greater good of the industry, if we're all kind of using the same platform, it's just going to allow us to do so much more quickly and efficiently.
The technology is critical for us to be able to see spend, because there is no other way for us to be able, in my mind, to see all the data that we need to see without having someone or multiple people have that as their full-time job. So it's critical to have technology that's automating all of those things for us. And one of the things that I'm excited about is there's technologies out there right now that are automating a lot of those things, and including the flexibility to put in custom fields for us to be able to report on the data that we really need. And one of the other things that's absolutely critical is, there's tons of systems out there where you can just spend and make payments, and you can see those payments and where they went. You have an idea of your spend categories and everything, but what's missing, the piece that's missing, is the savings and automating the iterations of when a vendor comes to us and says it's going, it costs this much for you, and then we do our negotiations and it ends up costing us this much. So we maybe started with an invoice that was going to be $1,000 and we negotiated them down to $800. And right now, the only way for us to be able to track all that and report on that data is for us to manually enter that. And that's extremely time consuming. And it's got to be something that's either specifically done by that planner or someone in the company. And to be able to automate something like that would be huge. I mean, absolutely huge for us to be able to see those iterations and see that spend and visibility is critical, because procurement, and the planners, they're working very hard to negotiate savings for our company and get preferred vendors and suppliers in place for us to have, savings recorded for them. And right now it's pretty challenging. So it's critical that we are able to automate some of those things and see that, because that's what our companies, really, our bottom line is to service our customers, of course, but along the way we need to be doing our due diligence, and we may be getting that savings, but it's not good if we can't have documentation of that and proof, which is what technology could provide for us. That we're seeing a shift where more often than not, we're seeing where the meeting and events area is going under the procurement umbrella. So I do think we'll see that trend continue to go that direction. For example, the company I work for right now, the majority of the event planning is put underneath the procurement umbrella, and anything that's not is still directed back to us. And I think that we're seeing this because there's so much around contracting and compliance with what we're doing with other suppliers and vendors. So I think that we'll continue to see that trend rise, where we're having a stronger connection with our procurement from a sourcing standpoint especially, but also from a spend perspective as well.
I do expect more from them, because whether I'm the end user or not, I'm the client. I'm finding that DMC suppliers or partners or major chains are telling me how to do something and what platform to use and what tool to use. And I get a little frustrated with that, as I was saying earlier, because, we adapt to our clients' needs. And so I think my expectation of these DMC partners and suppliers is that they should adapt to our systems in place. The event industry really relies on communication, and I'll really see that we're in this together. That one of my big complaints is that I think there's too many tools out there that do just something too specific. Well, that doesn't actually make it more efficient. I think there's definitely need or the want for the tool that does it all across the supply chain. A joint platform where everything can be done. Everyone can talk and everyone can communicate, share ideas, source vendors and suppliers, pay for things. I mean, you have one payment system, you have one sourcing system, you have one this, you have one that, and it's just, it's not efficient when you're using 10 or 12 different tools to do one thing. It's almost a little backwards.
There are some really great tools out there for strategic meetings management. So kind of getting the meeting started. So from the time that you source to the time that you're sending out invitations to your attendees and doing registration. But the road kind of ends there. So we've been, as a company, just exploring what else is out there to automate the rest of what we do. And we found that there are companies out there that are offering ways to automate some of the other things that our planners are doing. And we've also been seeing recently that some of the strategic meeting management platforms out there, they are starting to, it's slow, it seems to move slow in our industry, but they are starting to put other things on their roadmap now to start automating the other half of what planners do, which is spending a lot of time going back and forth with vendors and updating their budgets, maintaining and tracking all of that, and also to be able to see their savings, visibility, and all of that good stuff. So
you're going to be left behind. They're going to find someone else that can do it. I believe in our unique product, but I believe in competition too. And so if you're going to be the best, you have to start accepting the culture of change that the industry is really, we're in an industry of change. So I think it's funny sometimes when different companies or clients are a little more standoffish to technology. This is kind of, just the way that the industry is moving. The industry is older than me and older than, all of us probably here. And I hear stories and about how, transportation manifests were done by hand, and you had to fax changes in for rooming lists, and cell phones didn't exist. So, we're in this industry now that allows more change because of technology. So to be against that or to kind of fight that, I think, companies and different companies are going to be left behind if they're not accepting of that culture.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to our videos. We'd like to get started with the Q&A, but first I really want to thank our panelists. They shared some great insights with us on what they're doing with technology within their own companies and the need for technology. So hopefully that prompted some of you to send us some questions. So please do submit a question. You can enter them in the question section of the GoToWebinar toolbar, as we have on the screen here. And in the meantime, we have live with us Megan Muniz and Lindsay Giant. And I have received a couple questions, 2 or 3 questions, that hopefully we'll have a little bit of time to get through. So the first question I'm going to ask these questions to both of you guys. And let's have Megan answer the first question first, and then we'll move to Lindsay. So the question is, what's the process that you're going through to find the right technology tools? Megan, you mentioned that there's a lot of different tools out there. How are you honing in on them? And sometimes we find that all roads lead back to Cvent and Starsight. How are you finding some of the other tools out there? And is it like searching for a needle in a haystack? So Megan, I'm going to let you answer that first.
Great. Thanks so much, Julie. I don't think it's finding a needle in a haystack. That sounds a little defeatist, but I think a lot of it for us is talking to our clients. We're third party, so it's a benefit for us that we get to work with a lot of different organizations in a lot of different industries, whether it's corporate, nonprofit, or government. So we kind of see this big, wide view of what everyone else is using out there. So a lot of it is talking to our clients. I mean, it's a relationship, as you know, and seeing what they're using, seeing what works for them and their systems, their security processes, a lot of questions and answers, and then some trial and error. There's a lot of systems and processes out there, and so we're taking advantage of the free trainings, the free webinars, whether it's mentioned in a blog or we see it on Twitter, just seeing what it might be and how it might be different. And then we're also talking to some of these providers And if we like something another system is showing us, we're asking them, can you also do this? And so a lot of that for us is finding someone we like or a system we like and seeing if it can be unique and a little more specific to our needs.
Great, thank you so much. Lindsay, what about you at WellPoint?
Yeah, very similar to what Megan said. We do a lot of research, and the biggest thing is just networking with peers in the industry. We've come across so many things just by staying engaged with others in our field, as well as just other departments within our own company. There's been times where something's come up where we've never even heard of it, and we've brought it back to our team and just kind of bumped it up against our own processes and have found that, wow, this can really solve some gaps that we have that we never noticed before. It has a significant impact on our process. So that's the two suggestions that I would give is just doing your research and networking, just staying engaged.
So follow-up question for both of you that just came in is, what specific tools are you using the most, and which are you happiest with? So Megan, let's go back to you.
I would say specifically, we use a couple different systems for different things right now. So what I was saying earlier in my interview video is that I would love to see more of a system that covers everything from A to Z. I don't think that truly exists quite yet. We do use Evid, so that has become a very useful tool for us in kind of supply chain management and with working with procurement groups. We use different systems for registration management, attendee list management, seating. There's a couple little budget things we can use in a system called eTouches that we use. We use some StarSite and some Cvent, but I find them a little more specific to just sourcing. Like I said, we're still looking for that perfect platform that goes A to Z, but we're looking to utilize those relationships in the industry to really grow our tools to be what they need to be.
Thanks, Megan. Lindsay, anything to add to that? Are there specific tools that you're using, and you sit in an interesting place, right? Because you're part procurement and part events, so you're really representing both pieces of the puzzle. So are there tools that you're using and are happy with?
Yes, we have a strategic meetings management platform tool that we use. We've used Cvent and StarSite. Both are great technologies, but totally agree with what Megan said, is that we do not have anything right now that goes from A to Z really, but our initiative right now is to minimize the amount of applications that we're using just as a company as a whole. So we do use that for sourcing, registration, but we're looking at having Evid come on because we need another platform to finish the other half of what we do, and that's a very important piece of the process. I'm trying to think of some others that we use. We have some planners out there right now that are using some other technologies for registration and things like that. And of course our technology that we use for air travel and all of that.
Okay, great. One more question on technologies. Megan, maybe I'll point this to you. I think you guys engage in DMCs, in using DMCs. If you utilize a DMC, what technologies do you think that you would really want them to start using for you as a client?
Well, I'm biased, of course, because I use, I use Evid. So we did have a DMC supplier come in a couple weeks ago, and we were thrilled to see that they were already using the system. So for us, it's that the idea that everyone just join the team. I think for us, we're just kind of moving in that direction. So the more suppliers that can use one system for us, it makes it easier for us and our end users. And I think the question was 2 or 3 favorites, or no?
Okay, awesome. So you guys, different line of questions. How do you deal with the fact that people in your company are going to be resistant to change in the process? So I think this, the person who's asking this question is making the assumption that change is difficult, right? So how are you bringing people along in the process change? And Lindsay, let me start with you.
Yeah, it's definitely always something that's going to be there. There's always going to be someone or a group of people that's going to be resistant to change things. And I think actually I talked to Robbie from Dell as a reference for EVED, and he kind of said it best, that you really first need to get the buy-in from leadership, then you need to build a strong roadmap and process, and thirdly, have a focus group of those resisting the most, because those are the people that you need to win over. So you need to prove to them that this is a great tool, it's something that our leadership has bought into, and that we're all going to be using. And once you get them, you've kind of won at that point, and it should be smooth sailing from there.
Megan, anything to add to that? What are you doing to make sure that you kind of bring everyone along with you as you're embracing new technologies?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's 3 steps to that as well, and Robbie and Lindsay explain it very well to get the buy-in from leadership and the roadmap. So it's, do you understand why you need this? Do you accept why you need this? And then do you have the skills and the tools to do it and to implement it? So I think it's, it's a process there, and as long as everyone understands and accepts why we're making these changes and why we're evolving as a company and bringing on these resources and these tools, and then you're training them and you're having, you're making sure that they have the skills to do this and to implement it, I think you're on the right track.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you both. I think we've got one more question, unless another one comes in. And Lindsay, I'm going to point this one at you from more of a corporate standpoint, I think. What are you doing to track, now that you have strategic meetings management, and you're also in the process of adopting other technologies, what are you doing to track the metrics to ensure that you get the return on investment of the technology that you're using?
Well, I think the most important thing is to really have a dashboard of the metrics that are important to you, and demonstrate the data that is valuable to the company. So, building out your dashboard that's specific to you and what's valuable to your company and to your group, and then compare this to your previous data. So before we brought a technology on board, we were running data, running reports, and presenting that to leadership, so we had that information. So when we bring something new on, we're doing the same thing but in a more efficient way. And so we're using that hard data to be able to demonstrate the value that that technology is bringing. And we also, there's some things that just aren't tangible, that's not hard numbers that you can show. So we document those things along the way, so when we present on that, we can also bring up those things that weren't tangible.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, I want to thank, we don't have any other questions coming in, and so I'm going to turn this back over to Rachel, but first I want to thank Lindsay and Megan again so much for being with us. Your questions to the answers, your answers to the questions, excuse me, were really great, and if anyone has any other questions for our panelists, we would be happy to field them post-webinar, and you can find us at EVED. So thanks very much, and Rachel, turning it back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie, and I'd like to give a huge thank you to our panelists today. That was a wonderful presentation. Before we conclude, please make a note that a recording from today's webinar will soon be available on the Site Global Education page at www.siteglobal.com. We'd like to thank our speakers once again and everyone online for attending the event today. There is a survey after this webinar to complete, so we thank you in advance for your feedback. Thank you all again for attending, and have a great day, everyone.